So, Chris, I'm ready for today. How about you?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I'm excited because I think that our guest today, isn't he from California?
He is. Like,
Yeah.
I think the Bay Area, wine country area.
Oh, I like the wine country. I like wine.
I know
I'm
you
having
do.
a glass of wine right now.
I see that.
Yeah. So, what do you prefer, Napa or Sonoma?
Oh, Sonoma all the way.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I give. Why?
Because it's usually 40% off at Kohl's. What?
I can't take you anywhere. I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Here we go, listener.
It's The Riveted with Chris and Gina. We are 2 for 2 so far, Gina. I think we put out there, hey, listen, anybody listening to this podcast that wants to come on and hang out and have a fun conversation, let us know. And now we've got 2.
Yeah, so that, you know what that means?
What?
That means we have 2 listeners. How exciting.
Gina, that joke can't keep going on. It's going to get old.
Well, I hope that it grows, like 3 listeners, 4 listeners.
Yeah. Pretty soon we'll have a basketball team.
No, we're not into sports.
I know we're not.
No.
Okay, well, we're excited. Here's the power of technology. We're on the East Coast. This person's on the West Coast. We both own Airstreams. How ironic.
Ironic? I think there's Airstream owners all across the country.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're excited today to have a gentleman on that he and his family have been Airstreaming for almost 20 years, I think. Definitely 15. Kids have grown up. He's inside the Airstream. He's going to tell us all about it, obviously. But in our pre-visit conversation with him, he sounds like just a really passionate Airstream owner, and the whole family is.
Wait, time out. We need a drum roll right here.
Why?
Because if you can pronounce his name correctly, it's deserving of a drum roll.
It's not.
No,
Gina,
let me do it. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. What's his name?
His name is Jason Grendahl.
Woo, you did it.
Even with my southern roll,
Yes.
I think I got it right. So Jason is from the great state of California, and we're excited to chat with him today. Jason, welcome to The Riveted with Chris and Gina.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
We hope you are with that after that introduction. I was trying to be all good and exciting.
You were good, honey.
Yeah.
Honey, you're always good.
Thank you.
It was great. I was sitting over here trying to, keep quiet and let you go through that great intro. You did wonderful.
Deserving of a great Airstreamer, right?
Yes.
Well, we're glad to have you on the podcast and can't wait to just chat and hear your story. Everybody has one, and I think that from what I've heard so far about you and your family, that you guys probably have tons of stories because of your time of owning Airstreams and just seeing your kids grow up with such an amazing experience of enjoying an Airstream trailer for recreation and all that good stuff. So we're excited to chat with you.
So, Jason, we're going to let you talk for the next 45 minutes, and then we'll come on to at the end, okay?
Hey, I will. I can fill it. I guarantee you this might be the first time you do a 2-part episode because
I
I
like
can fill
it.
it. I guarantee it.
Hey, I like 2-part. That
Yeah.
sounds good.
It's easy for me because it's less editing I have to do.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yes. No,
But
well,
I can tell you what, I can make it really easy on you because I've been listening to all your podcasts and trying to catch up. I know what your first question is. It's going to be, tell us your story. How'd you get an Airstream?
Yeah, see, we thought that
like
you might
this
say
guy.
that. We thought that you might say that, so we have a different first question.
oh, we do?
Oh,
No,
okay,
no.
all right.
No, I really don't. I was just saying that. Yeah, no, we have this unique question that we like to ask people just to get the conversation started, and it sounds like you know what it is, but I'm going to say it out loud again just for emphasis.
All right.
Yes, it's always interesting to Gina and I to learn where people were in life, prior to having interest in owning an Airstream, and everybody, I'm sure was in some kind of a unique place and mindset.
Well, there was something in their mind that just
Yeah.
clicked. It said, I have to have an Airstream.
Correct. And so we'd love to start with that. And
All right. Well, you get the whole chronology from me because we're on our 4th Airstream now.
oh,
So,
wow.
Um, My wife and I, before we had kids and stuff, we had a big touring motorcycle. We had the little trailer that you can pull behind the motorcycle and throw all your camping gear and stuff in. And that's exactly what we did. And we traveled pretty much everywhere east of the Mississippi. So we were both still working and stuff. So it was really just vacation and weekend trips. But we really liked that. We liked the travel, the camping. We then had an opportunity to transfer to Germany for 2 years. The headquarters of the company I work for is over there. And they said, hey, come over here and do this expat thing. So we sold everything except our house. Uh, we were in Ohio at the time. And we went over to Germany and we had fun over there for 2 years. And we came back and we had a 1 year old kid and another one on the way.
Wow.
So life was very different.
Not much going on in Germany
what-
besides hanging
Well,
out.
I'm trying to decide I'm trying to decide how they came back to the U.S. and had a 1 year old kid as soon as they got back.
No,
So
let him
he
tell
was,
us.
my wife was pregnant with him when we moved to Germany. He was
Oh.
born in
Oh,
Germany.
okay, gotcha.
And then
Okay,
she was pregnant again when we moved back to the United States.
I got you. All right.
I'm just picking with you, Jason.
That's fine. I say that my oldest son was made in America, born in Germany, and my youngest son was made in Germany, born in the USA.
Oh my gosh.
We need to end this podcast right here.
That's enough.
That is perfect right there.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Good thing
No
they don't.
one-
Good thing they don't listen to the same podcast that their dad does.
Oh, okay. We didn't mean to derail your story, but I'm glad that
No,
we
but
did.
I'm glad we did.
For that line right there,
Yeah.
I'm very glad we
Yes.
did. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got back to the U.S. Second child was born. Once we got through all of that, we said, hey, we want to get back into camping. Let's get. Initially, we said a pop up because some friends of ours had a pop up and they really loved it. But we talked to them and they're like, we're like, well, isn't it like a tent when you put it away? If it's rained overnight or there's a dew in the morning, isn't it really wet to put everything in? And they're like, oh yeah, you got to bring it home. You got to reset everything back up and dry it off. And we're like, no, that's a tent.
Yeah.
We don't want that anymore. So we started looking for any camper. But we were young, 2 kids. Didn't have a lot of money, and Airstream really wasn't on the radar. So we were looking at just anything, and they really, we just weren't finding things that were good, or they needed a lot of work, or we're like, my gosh, is this thing going to make it home if we hitch up and pull it? So, as luck had it, we got a really good tax return that year, and our budget to buy a trailer went up, and we happened to find an Airstream that was available about an hour from our house and went and saw it. The guy was totally getting out of Airstreaming and camping altogether. So he said, you get my hitch, you get everything. For a little while, we even had a little Tupperware container that said sugar on the lid.
Oh my gosh.
Literally, he left that in the camper. So
Wow.
I think we just got rid of that container because we finally replaced that whole series of Tupperware containers in our house.
That's a heck of a deal.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah, we got everything from that guy. So we haul it home, start having fun with it, had it parked in the driveway, got pictures of the kids standing on the front couch in diapers and whatnot, staring out the window and whatnot. So we were pretty stoked. Had that one for a long time. We built some bunk beds in it. We used the heck out of it. I mean, we went everywhere. I put new axles on that thing. I remodeled the kitchen, redid the bathroom. I mean, countless things. And if that wasn't nutso enough, for whatever reason, I caught the Airstream bug and I realized that they made motorhomes, Argosy motorhomes, back in the late 70s. And there was actually one that was only 20 feet long. And I was like, I want one of those. And I ended up finding one that was 24 feet long over in Pennsylvania, in Reading. So amazingly, my wife said, sure, let's buy it. So we went over there in the car, looked at it, bought it, drove it home. So then we had a 1977 motorhome with orange shag carpeting, which is
Wow.
awesome.
That is awesome.
And it was kind of a it was an awesome party layout because the bathroom was at the back. Obviously, the driver's seats were at the front, and then you just had two couches and a kitchen in the middle, and this big swivel, also orange shag
Mm.
chair.
Yeah.
So it was awesome
So,
for having
Jason,
people in.
are you telling
Yeah.
us right now that you are a party boy?
With this orange shag carpet, how could you not be?
He is a party boy. Hmm.
You
I
know,
like
we
it.
were just talking at the Airstream rally this weekend that I was at about a rally that I don't remember much of because I
Oh.
partied a little too hard at that rally.
Yeah.
I like it.
So we had that motor home for a while, and depending on how far we were going or what it was, we would take one or the other. We even played around with Tin Can Tourist, which is a big deal, especially in Michigan, where it's a lot of people with really, really classic campers. And we took the motorhome up there because we had really, it was really very period. Nothing had really been upgraded on it. So it was kind of like stuck in 1977, which
Yeah.
in certain ways was cool and in certain ways was really not. Um,
Those things are
so
always
what
neat
happened?
to see and be around when
Hmm.
you see one and are able to go in one, even if it is period time
Yes.
frame. They're such a neat vehicle.
Yep. But it got a little tough to be, hey, I got my family of four. We're really trying to travel and see stuff, and I really need something reliable that I don't need to repair all the time. And the kids were getting bigger, so we said, hey, let's try and find. And this was probably 2013, I think it was 2014, maybe. And we said, let's try to find a bunkhouse model from 2005 because in '05 and I think just a smidge into '06, the Safari LS 30 footer was a bunkhouse model, same as what you can get Flying Cloud 30-foot bunk today,
Right.
almost the same. Layout was very similar. So anyway, they had made a very small number of those, and we said, hey, let's try to find one of those. And they actually have their own discussion thread on Air Forums, and we just went in there and made a post and said, hey, we're looking for one of this model. We're a family, two kids. If anybody's thinking about selling, let us know. And sure enough, I don't think it was 2 hours later, we got
Man.
a private message on Air Forums, and they said, hey, we have one. We're looking to get rid of it because we're kind of done with camping and our kid has grown. We're down near Williamsburg, Virginia.
Hmm.
And they said, let's work a deal. So we did, and it was just kind of ironic because my wife is a huge Colonial Williamsburg fanatic, and we actually went down there once, even twice a year, usually with the Airstream, our first one, which was a '74 Overlander, by the way.
I was getting ready. I was going to ask you
um,
to what that first one was. Yeah.
Yep, '74 Overlander with international trim. So it was pretty nice. It was actually one that was owned by a past president of the Akron, Ohio WBCCI clubs, and we actually got to meet him at one point.
Very cool.
Um, yeah. So anyway, we had been going to that area for vacation a lot, so we knew it. So we drove down there in our tow vehicle, went to these people's house, camped in it in their driveway, said, "Yep, we love it. Everything works. Let's buy it." So we bought it, brought that home, put the other two up for sale. The trailer ended up getting bought by somebody from Key West. I thought it was a total scam when they called me because she said, hey, I'm going to fly up. What's the closest airport to you? I'm going to come and look at this thing. And if I like it, I'm going to buy it and I'm going to have somebody transport it for me and I'm going to fly home.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is scam. There's no way. And she's like, no, I'm for real. She's like, literally, she's like, I will, give you a copy of my driver's license. I will tell you what my airline travel is.
Wow.
I'll send you a deposit, whatever. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. So yeah, sure enough, she flew up to, I believe it was Columbus, Ohio, got a rental car, came up, saw the trailer, said, yep, absolutely love it. She paid me, we signed the title off, and she said, okay, I'll have somebody call about transporting it. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, it was gone. The guy showed up, hitched up, and took it away.
And this is the
Um,
74 model you had.
yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she they did live in Key West, and there was a hurricane that came through, and the water ended up high enough that it was above the floor level of the trailer.
Mm.
And she was trying to do some repairs, and she had reached out to me and stuff, but in the end I think she just said, hey, this is going to become like an Airbnb on my property.
Yeah.
So the motorhome, somebody else, I think they were from Georgia, they said, hey, we're going to drive up in our car, see this thing, we really think it's what we want, but we want to see it in person. They reserved a tow dolly in town. They
Wow.
drove in with the motorhome, grabbed the tow dolly, came back to the house, put their car on the tow dolly, drove away. Heard from them 1 year later, and they said, we're having a blast in this thing. It's had its moments that it's needed repair and whatnot, but it's really been great. And thanks so much for, having it and selling it to
Well,
us.
that
But I
was
haven't heard
nice of
anything
them.
since.
Yeah,
for
that
sure.
was very
Yeah.
nice.
Well, and had you made any modifications or improvements to the motorhome?
Not really, other than just general repair.
Yeah.
I mean, there were like a lot of the suspension bushings and stuff were pretty trashed, and it needed an alignment. It needed new airbags, and
But still the
I had a
Shag
local
and the
truck
orange
repair
and,
shop do it.
yeah, like all the still period correct cosmetics and everything.
Right. So
Yeah.
actually, when I had bought it, all the orange plastic belt lining was gone, and I
Yeah.
actually put all that back on. It was awningless, which was very common for Argosies. But I had awnings put on the back and both sides
Yeah.
and it was a wonderful combination of brown, orange, and a slight stripe of purple. It looked slick.
Purple.
It was awesome. I will send you guys pictures if you can somehow
Now,
I
did
would
you have
love-
a?
attach them to the pod or something.
Oh
Yeah.
no, we need pictures.
I would love
Definitely
to see
need pictures.
pictures.
Did you have a strobe light in there?
Or-
No,
No.
Or
not even a crystal ball
The
either.
I was
ball,
gonna say
yeah.
a disco ball.
Disco
Yeah.
ball. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well,
Disco
here's
Yeah,
ball.
we didn't have that either.
Here's the thing. So far in this story, the part that I'm getting is, I mean, they owned 3 Airstreams at the time,
Right.
and one of
Yep.
them, 2 of them were in excess of 20 years old or more, right? And
Yep.
and he's got 3 in his possession. He wants to sell 2, and it's the brand. I mean,
It's the
think of
brand.
somebody from Key West
yeah.
is like, I'll fly up nearest airport.
Yes.
If as long as it's what I want, I'll buy it. Blah
Yep.
blah. Yeah, and you're thinking, no way somebody's going to do that, but it is
It's the
because
brand.
it's the brand.
Mhm.
It is the passion. It's the just people's loyalty and passion to the Airstream brand and wanting to be a part of it. And we've talked to some folks in the past that are like, well, Airstreams are just too expensive. I'd love to own one, but I just can't afford one. That kind of stuff. But some of these older ones, you can still enjoy the Airstream brand even if you buy one of these older ones. And it sounds like that's what the other people did.
Yeah.
And it's all just because they're not going to be flying from Key West to look at a 30-year-old box trailer.
No.
They're just
What
not.
30-year-old
that's true.
box
That's true.
box trailers don't last that long, babe.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Okay,
Yep.
so
So we had the bunkhouse for a long time
okay.
and traveled like crazy in that thing. Bent an axle in Connecticut and ended up finally getting the axle replaced after we moved to California.
Whoa.
I was
Wow.
as we were using that and waiting for axles and everything like that, literally I carried spare tires in the bed of the truck. And as we would stop somewhere, I would check the wear of the tire, the one bad tire that was the spindle that was
Yeah.
bent. And once it got to a certain point, I'd get out the bottle jack in the campground there, jack it up, change the tire, throw that one in the bed, take a new one out of the bed. And, it was an adventure, but it's a story now.
That
Well-
sounds like Airstream dedication.
Well, it does, and it also sounds like probably some of the kind of stuff that the Airstreamers of the 50s and 60s had to do when they were on some of these huge around the world caravans.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They had to do creative things like
Yes.
that to stay on the road.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool.
so yes, and that brings up a question here real quick, Jason. So were you wearing a suit whenever you would jack that tire up and
Oh, yeah.
replace
Like-
it? And was your wife wearing heels and a dress?
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
yeah, like slacks and a
Yes,
tuck-
but that's what
tucked
they
in shirt.
wore on those caravans. They were dressed to the
Yeah,
to
of
the
course.
nines, and
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Wow.
Just asking. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right.
Go ahead.
Yep. So we had that one for a really, really, really long time. and we were actually at the International in Wyoming in Rock Springs last summer. And of course, they had a bunch of new Airstreams there, and our kids at the time were 17 and 16. They're now 18 and 16, but they are old enough that they would say, especially for a weekend, they'd be like, I don't really want to go with you guys, unless we could interest them in like a really good potluck. If we could tell them that people that were going to make like tri-tip or pulled pork or something were going to be there,
Yeah.
then they would go. And that actually happened 2 weekends ago. We're like, hey, it's the Central Coast California Club, and Gary really loves to make tri-tip, and they're like, all right, we're there.
Yeah.
So they went.
They have their priorities.
But we realized that we could finally get an Airstream, and we're in a different financial place and whatnot now, almost 20 years later. And we said, okay, we should start looking at these new Airstreams they have here at International. So we started looking at things, and we're like, oh, we can downsize maybe to a 23. And we went in the 23, and we're like, oh, this rear bathroom is awesome, but the rest of it was just too small, even for two people. So then we went and looked at a 25, and we're like, okay, we're getting there. And then we looked at a 27, and we went, oh man, this 27, this is it. Love the rear entry, all that sort of stuff. And my wife went in the bathroom, and she goes, there's no window to the outside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? That's what makes it for you? And she's like, I want a window in the bathroom. So we looked at the 30 Globetrotter, and the 30 has a window in the bathroom. So we looked at the International, we looked at the Globetrotter, we looked at the Classic. And actually at Wyoming, they had the Classic and the 30 Globetrotter parked right next to each other in the showroom. And we kept going back and forth between them. And we went back the next day and looked again, and we said, nope, the 30 Globetrotter with twins is the way we're going.
Yeah.
So we didn't buy there. We came back and bought at Fairfield Airstream, which is our local dealership. They're really awesome. They really support our Airstream Club community in the area, so we wanted to make sure we supported them back. And by that time, Airstream was flush with models at all their dealerships. So basically, we went there and said, we want 30 Globetrotter twin. And they went, what color interior would you like? And we went, what do you have? And they're like, all of them.
Wow.
Wow.
So we're like, okay, we're going to come and see them. So we looked at all of them, and my wife and I disagreed on which one we wanted, but of course we bought the one that she wanted.
Of
So
course.
we're
Happy
all
wife.
happy.
Happy life.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I will say this. and
Wait, don't talk. What did you get?
We got they call it what, the gray on gray or something like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very bright inside. It's wonderful.
Yes.
If you have all the windows open, it's really bright. But I wanted the dark walnut with
Nope.
cream.
No,
And
brighter's
yep,
better.
my wife said absolutely not.
I'm
Yeah.
with your wife, 100%.
Well, here's what I was going to say about that, and this just popped into my head when he said what they've got is we're going to have to start keeping a running tally of which models our guests own,
Oh,
because I believe now, given this Globetrotter, I think Globetrotter is in the lead.
is it?
I think so.
Oh,
I mean, we've only had however many guests, less than 10, but
and
that-
two listeners.
But I know that makes 3 Globetrotters for
Yes.
sure so far. Maybe more, but I know for sure 3 Globetrotters. So,
And I think one of your other recent guests was even a Globetrotter 30 twin.
yeah.
wow.
Bruce and Amy, I believe. And yeah, so that makes 3 for sure I know of, because
Okay, so you're going to have to start a spreadsheet, babe.
yeah, I'll start a spreadsheet. Yeah. But that's awesome. Well, and we've said this
See
before.
what you've done, Jason. You've
Yeah.
caused us to create a spreadsheet.
We've said
Hey,
this.
I love spreadsheets. I
Yeah.
keep them myself.
Yeah. We said this the last time we talked to folks that had Globetrotter, especially Globetrotter 30s, is that floor plan
Is
was
one that we enjoy.
when we saw it, we
Mhm.
fell in love with it.
Yeah.
We loved everything about it when we saw it.
Yes.
And if we were to,
We're
and-
not trading.
I know, but here's the other big significant thing about a Globetrotter 30 that's different from ours, and we've not talked about this on the episode,
Okay.
is that in the bedroom in the back,
Mm-hmm.
it does not have the lockers on either side of the bed. It has wraparound windows.
See, I like the wraparound.
And that was a key mistake that we made with ours.
Well, no,
It-
let's back up. It's not necessarily a mistake. It's just as we have lived in this for 7 years now, we have decided we don't need those lockers, and
Right.
we wish we had the wraparound windows.
Well, back when we ordered ours, and it was, obviously pre-pandemic, their sales were increasing, but they were not in a backlog situation or anything. This was in,
17.
January of 17, and we actually were at the Tampa RV show, which is a huge corporate Airstream, or like Airstream is there in a big way, and all the factory people
there was like
are there.
26 Airstreams there,
Yeah,
I think.
and at that time, we were talking with somebody from Airstream in that booth, and we commented about those hanging lockers, and they said at that time that they would make it an option to
Yes.
remove the lockers and put in wraparound windows.
Yes, they did.
And we should have taken them up on that, because we so wish we would have not gotten those hanging
Yes.
lockers.
I agree.
But so when they came out with the Globetrotter 30, and basically the same size trailer, same bedroom, but with
Yes.
and we saw that without the hanging lockers, we're like, oh my gosh, that is
But
exactly what we
that's
wanted.
a visual thing as well. But for anyone listening out there, our logic behind that is we are minimalists, so we don't need the space of the lockers. Some people may need that space,
Well,
but
yeah.
but we don't, and we wish we'd had the open windows versus the locker space.
So do you guys, was the windows something that, I mean, like, you don't leave your curtains closed all the time, do you? Or do you?
Oh no, he's a party boy.
They leave their curtains.
Those curtains are open and the lights are on.
Well, I would just say that my wife would disagree with that significantly, but we do once we've dressed and everything for the day.
Oh,
yes,
you wait
windows
until
get
then.
opened all
Okay,
up
then
and
they open
let
it
all
up.
the light in. Yeah.
Darn.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer for the rest of us.
Well,
but
and
that's okay.
here's the other thing. Well, and they've got twins, so the floor plan I'm describing is a queen floor plan back there. But either way, still the wraparound windows in the bedroom is huge.
Yes.
But all
No,
right.
you
Well,
can still have that with twins. You can still have the wraparound windows.
yeah, but I'm talking about the hanging lockers.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Jason, continue. Sorry, we got you distracted. So you
Well,
got
it's okay. I mean, we got to my final model, the one that I was just camping in like hours ago. I woke up this morning in a campground in Napa,
wow.
which, yes,
Oh, I'm so envious.
it's not just
Napa.
wine drinking in Napa. They actually have a really nice campground right in downtown, and that's where we were.
Very nice.
I'm sorry. Wait, stop. There's something else to do in Napa besides drink wine.
Yeah.
Well,
I
really?
think a lot of good restaurants too.
Yeah, you're drinking wine. You're just camping while you're drinking wine.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
I'm
That's
drinking
right.
wine right now.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Well, so
Yep.
that was this past weekend. He woke up in it this morning.
Nice.
Yep.
Very
Yep.
cool.
So we bought that model July of 2023. Got a nice little discount because we took the 23 as the 24s were just about to start rolling in,
Yeah.
and there wasn't much change between the 23, 24. So we said, yep, let's buy it. We'll take the discount. We did immediately take it to, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners will know Vinny's North Bay Airstream,
Oh yeah.
because a lot of people on the west side of the United States go to him. So we had been a customer of him even with our previous trailer. So as soon as I had that trailer, I got on his schedule and he hooked me up with a bunch of batteries and a bunch of solar and the big Victron system and everything. So we are set. We can go boondocking for quite a few days.
That's awesome.
And really much enjoy doing that. So yeah, it's really well set up.
So where did he put your batteries in that floor plan?
It is under the couch on the street side, almost kind of that big rectangular oblong table is.
Yeah.
Right under the seat behind that is
Nice.
where all the batteries and the multiplex and everything are.
That's not too far from where ours are.
Yeah, ours are under the front couch at the nose, but yeah. So what did you get? Like what kind of solar setup?
It's 8 panels, so 800. They're Renogy panels, which is what Vinny recommended at the time that he was doing my system. The batteries are Battleborns. And then, the solar, the servo, the shunt, the multiplex, that's all Victron stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it works great.
That's awesome. I mean, it's so, when you get out west and you see so many rigs, Airstream or not, solar is just so popular out west, and it's a game changer for sure.
It is.
Yep. And actually, that leads me to a great story that happened this past summer. Wife and I still work. Thankfully, she works at a school, so she has the summer off. So do my kids. So I took a bunch of vacation time this summer, and we wanted to get the kids to the lower 48 in the Airstream. And we did most of the East Coast when we lived in Ohio, and even a lot of the West when we lived in Ohio. But amazingly, we had never gotten to Delaware. So
So you
we said,
waited
okay,
until you got to California to go all the way to Delaware.
exactly.
That's commitment.
So we said, okay, our oldest just graduated high school. This summer, we have to get him to Delaware to check, to achieve our goal. So yeah, we made a summer trip, 3.5 weeks, went all the way to Delaware and back, stopped and saw lots of people along the way, family and friends in Ohio, stopped at 3 Airstream parks.
Okay, Jason, I'm sorry, I'm not to interrupt you, and I promise I won't interrupt you this whole episode. But
Yeah,
right.
No,
right.
we definitely will interrupt because that's what we do.
Here's the thing, right? So you mentioned earlier that your kids only want to go with you when there's amazing food or potlucks or something like that. So you got a teenage child that you hauled all the way to Delaware. No wonder they're not going with you anymore.
Yeah, two teenage children.
Two.
Yeah.
Two of them,
Oh,
16 and 18.
Yeah. So
Yep.
their summer break, you take them to Delaware. I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong with Delaware. I shouldn't be throwing off.
There's
on
nothing
Delaware.
wrong with Delaware when you live on the East Coast, but you're coming from California to Delaware. That's a haul.
It's
Yep.
like
Yep.
National Lampoon's summer vacation kind of deal where you drive all the way across the country.
Yes, but you didn't have any in-laws on the roof, right?
No.
That's right. No,
Okay.
I did not have any in-laws.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thankfully.
So tell us about.
Can he finish talking?
Yeah.
Like you rudely interrupted him.
I just thought to myself, if I was his teenage kid, I would be like, I spent my whole summer going to Delaware.
Yeah, okay, but we're talking about teenagers. So I have a question. I'm going to interrupt Chris.
Okay.
So my question is, do they stay on their iPads or their phones the whole time? Or are they looking out and going, wow, we're going through, Colorado, we're going through Ohio, however trip you took or route you took. Are they looking out at the scenery, or are they on their phones?
It's mostly on the phone, but to their credit, a lot of that they have seen. I mean, we had done a lot of traveling, like when they instituted the every fourth grader in a park program.
Yes,
don't
I
know
love
how many
that.
years ago that was. That was just before my oldest, that's now 18, just before he went into fourth grade. So we're like, we're doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was the year we still lived in Ohio, but we came all the way out to Grand Canyon, Bryce,
Great.
Zion,
That's awesome.
did all that stuff. And
Now,
went
see,
back
that's
home.
wonderful. And, we've never talked about that on this podcast, but just shouting out right now, anyone out there who has a fourth grader or someone coming into fourth grade, that is a phenomenal program.
Yeah, they get a
Yep,
park pass for
it
free.
is.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I'm sure that we need to hear how exciting the Delaware
Yes,
trip
let
was.
that go.
I'm not trying to pick on the Delaware trip. So yeah, continue
Well,
on the Delaware trip.
I was gonna segue off of the boondocking and the batteries and everything. So
Yeah.
we are techie. Yes, our kids had iPod or iPads and all that sort of stuff, and we got the Starlink, and we have one of the PepWave routers in the trailer that it uses SIM cards and cell signal to be online all the time.
Right.
And that actually worked out really neat in, well, everywhere that we went this summer, because it was, as we all know, really, really hot across the United States this summer. So we would actually leave the inverter on the multiplex, leave it on the inverter section or inverting setting. And that way, as we got to a campsite for the evening, and because we have the micro air thermometer or thermostat
Mm-hmm.
that is Wi-Fi controlled, we could be in the truck, and my wife could fire that up and say, turn on the air conditioning, and you could run one air conditioner off the multiplus.
Yeah.
So we could actually start pre-cooling the Airstream so that it was nice and comfy when we got to a campground.
That's pretty awesome.
Y'all are spoiled individuals.
Yeah. That's
Very spoiled. Just saying, they're glamping.
I think that
I call it bougie.
Yeah.
Bougie. Oh, you are bougie.
well, I would think that I mean,
I just like saying bougie.
Yeah, it is funny to say bougie, but that is using the technology that's available to us
It
as
is.
as RVers,
Absolutely.
and using it in a way that adds to the comfort. And
Absolutely. Yes.
I think it's a great idea.
Yes. See,
Yep.
Chris,
So
on the
we
other
have-
hand, likes to have someone standing over top of him fanning.
That's not so.
Yes, those those great
not
big
And feeding him
plumes.
grapes.
No,
and
no,
all
Yes,
that.
and feeding him grapes and wine and fanning. That's what
No.
Chris likes. Yes.
We've got the micro air thermostat, but we don't have the setup to be able to run the AC off the inverter. We don't have that big of an inverter, but
You're right, baby.
yeah, but all the rest of it's cool, and I think that's an excellent idea.
The whole story part of it that goes in Delaware is we pull into this campground in Delaware, and it's really hot and it's really humid, and I jump out of the truck to go over to the little hut to check in, and the guy inside there he's checking me in. He just goes, "Is your air conditioner running?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "How do you do that?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Lots of batteries." And he goes, "Man, that's awesome."
Yeah, that's great.
I thought you were going to say, "Is your air conditioner running?" And you're going to say, "Yes." And he's like, "Well, you better go catch it."
You would go get it.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Somebody rolls into that same campground and they've got a 40-foot diesel pusher with 3 air conditioners and a generator, and it's all running and all that kind of stuff. They would never ask that question of them if their air conditioner's running. A 30-foot Airstream with 2 air conditioners, and they hear one of them running, they're going to think,
Right.
"How is that going on?"
Right. Well, they did.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
It's magic. You should have said it's magic.
yeah, that's the kind of technology. It's not magic.
It's magic.
It's the magic of technology.
It is.
And
Thank
a whole
goodness.
bunch of lithium
batteries.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that is a great segue story from your Vinnies and the solar install.
It is. It's making me want my Airstream air conditioner to run.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got battery envy.
Yeah. Is that what you got? Battery envy? I have battery envy.
Well, it's obvious that
Jason, I have battery envy.
Jason has a bigger inverter than me.
Yeah.
Jason's inverter is bigger than mine.
Oh, yes, he
Yeah.
is.
So
I'm hearing that.
well, that's cool. So
I
there
feel you,
was there a destination in Delaware that you had, like a location you had to go visit, or was it just you had to check that state off your list?
We just had to check that state off the list, and it was kind of neat. During our travels, we were actually at Virginia Highland Haven Airstream Park,
Oh yeah.
and everybody would ask us along the way, "Oh, why are you going to Delaware? Why are you going?" Well, we got to get there to say we've been to the lower 48, but we said we don't know. If you get recommendations for what we can do while we're there, let us know. And we were at Virginia Highland Haven, and I happened to be holding a can of Dogfish Head beer.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Well, Dogfish Head is in Delaware. Well, you should go there. You're drinking their beer." And I'm like, "Really? I thought they were in Connecticut." And I start rolling the can around in my hand. And I'm like, "Holy moly, look at that." So we checked, and yeah, their main brewery and tap room and all that sort of stuff was only, I think, like 35 minutes from where we were camping. So we
That's
said,
awesome.
"All right, that's what we're doing."
That's
and
great.
And it was
how
great.
was it? Was it fun?
It was a blast. They had great food. The kids are welcome. They've got drinks for kids. There's adult drinks and kid drinks, which is
Yeah.
great. Lots of stuff to do. Yeah, we had a great time. We sat there, the 4 of us, and just played cards in the tap room and had a couple of
Ooh.
beers and I think a pizza and some pretzels and
Yeah.
something else.
Did you hear that? He's a
And-
card player.
Yeah. it's
What
pretty
kind of
cool.
cards do you play?
I really love, my wife and I both play euchre. We've taught the kids how to do it, but we've learned that's a Midwest game.
It is.
I don't know if you guys
I
down
do.
in South Carolina play
Yeah,
that.
familiar.
No, I used to play euchre a lot.
Yeah.
But that was when I was in high school and I had this boyfriend and oh wait, that's another story. Okay.
Yeah. But the boyfriend was from Ohio, right?
No, he was not. He was
You-
from here, Southern boy.
Oh, well, you went to Ohio to visit some boy.
No, that's a different boy.
Oh, that's a different boy. Okay, sorry.
Okay, we're not talking about me right
well,
now.
here's what I think's cool about what he just shared is that, and it's a lot like what we do is like you were already 3/4 of the way across the country and you're at a campground and you still didn't know for sure what you were going to do in Delaware, and then you get a recommendation from somebody and you're like, that sounds cool. That's what I'm going to do. And that's how Gina and I travel too. We love to just kind of wing it and see what comes, and especially if we get a recommendation from somebody either local or that just knows this unique experience or place, then we follow that path.
Yes. But I want to say something about because you're talking about the lower 48, and we've known people, I don't know if you have this or not, but the maps that you can purchase, the stickers, and you put them on your rig, and then you fill in the states. You know what I'm talking about? So
we got it.
Okay, so we know people who have those maps, or I guess they still have them, but they had these maps. And just because they literally drove through the state with their camper in tow, they put a sticker that they went through that state. Not that they actually camped there and explored the state at all, but just because they drove through it. So I just want to commend you driving from California all the way to Delaware to experience the actual state to fill in your map versus just driving through it and say, hey, I've been there.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
Our rule is we have to do something in the state. Now, that can be just staying at a campground for a night, but it's also allowable. Like actually later on in that trip, we still had to hit Iowa. So we actually went over to Iowa, and I forget what national monument it was, but it was just barely into Iowa. And we went in, we did the junior ranger thing, we got the stamps, we experienced that, and that, per our rule book, allowed us to check off having been to Iowa, even though we didn't actually sleep there in the Airstream.
I would say yeah for that too.
Well, yeah, because they did activities there.
Yeah, that's cool. And so then that completed your lower 48 on that?
No, we still had to hit Wisconsin, Minnesota, and North Dakota. So from that little detour into Iowa, we went up to, what is it, Green Springs or something, where the Frank Lloyd Wright home is, the estate.
Yep.
So we went there, and they got, people can say what they want about the South or Ohio or anything, but I have never seen mosquitoes as big as I did in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, they just said, don't go out unless you put deep woods off all over your body.
Oh, wow.
And it was nuts up there. But anyway, we went on there to
I was just going to say the mosquitoes in the South, it's not that they're big, they're tiny, and they bite.
Swarms.
They swarm, yes.
But there's so much kind of water in Wisconsin and Minnesota that I could imagine that mosquitoes would be bad. And it's humid enough up there in the summer and all that. I'm sure it's a bad
it doesn't matter.
Situation.
We just like interrupting him.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead, Jason.
If it was just me talking the whole time, it would be boring.
No, there's nothing about you boring, Jason.
Not so far.
Well, you guys always say, this should be just like sitting around a campfire with friends. And, when you're sitting around a campfire, you run out of wine, you run out of your beer or whatever you're drinking, or you're hungry and you say, hey, wait a minute. I need to go get something. Pause.
Yeah. That's right.
And then you come back and the conversation changes. And
I like it.
Great.
So did you by chance, while you were up in Wisconsin, Minnesota, go to the headwaters of the Mississippi River?
We did not.
Okay.
Our Minnesota stop was the Minnesota Airstream Park.
Oh, yeah.
So we went there for there's actually a intra club to the ACI called Future Streamers, and that's all about people that have kids and are, traveling with them and whatnot. And the president of that intra club, they basically summer there at that park, and they said, hey, come on by. We're going to have some other people with kids here. So we just kind of had a big family party there. And that checked off our box for Minnesota.
That's cool. We were actually, I think it was maybe 2019 or so. We were in Arizona, in Benson, Arizona, at the Escapees RV park there, and
Been there. I
yeah,
love that place.
Mhm.
yep. And across the row from us was this nice lady in an Airstream, and we spoke to her, and she was from that Minnesota Airstream park. She must be have a lot there, or residence or something. But she had brochures, and she gave us one,
Mhm.
and she said, "Here, if you're ever in Minnesota, you got to come check out our park." And here we are in southern Arizona, and she's talking up Minnesota,
Yes.
which is neat. And
Yep.
we
And
still haven't been.
it's a great park.
Yeah,
But all the Airstream parks are.
I
I've been
agree.
to I think 4 or 5 now, and they're all awesome.
yeah,
I agree.
neat, cool.
So, and then our final stop was North Dakota. We went to Teddy Roosevelt National Park, which I thought, okay, this is going to be in the middle of nowhere. This isn't going to be exciting at all. And it's one of the better national parks that we've been to. It's really unique because the campground is inside the park. So you actually have to check in and, go through the stuff with the ranger and everything, and then drive 3, 4, 5 miles into the park. It's a boondocking only park, but literally, and unfortunately it didn't happen while we were there, but in theory, buffalo could just come wandering by your campsite,
Wow.
because you're right in there with it all. And I thought it was great. And then when you leave the campground, you were able to drive through the park still at whatever hours you wanted to. So we went out, we saw wild horses, we saw multiple herds of buffalo. Um, I think that was about it for that trip. But it was just really neat because you were right there in it. And then we just turned around and drove back and went right to our Airstream and stared at the prairie and the mountains and
Yeah.
drank some wine.
Sounds amazing. So
Yeah.
what are your kids thinking at this point? Do you know? Did they share?
Um, for them, it's been a way of life. So even like their grandparents and stuff say to them when they see them, they're like, do you realize you've seen all 50 states? Granted, only 48 of them in an
Mm-hmm.
Airstream, but
Yeah.
you've been to all these states. You've been to your parents have taken you back to Europe, within your
Mm-hmm.
conscious years, not just when you were little babies. And we've been to Mexico, we've been to Canada, and they're just like, do you realize what your parents have exposed you to, and how much you travel and stuff? And they're just kind of like, yeah. But for them, that's just life.
Right.
Uh,
But they'll figure it out. They're going to be in a conversation with somebody one day that hasn't done all of this, and then they'll realize, wow, we were so lucky to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Do you feel like they are? I mean, maybe it might be till they're in their 20s or full adult or whatever. But like, do you think that Airstream is passionate enough in their life that they might want to continue enjoying it as they become an adult? Like, do you think they're going to become Airstreamers, or is it still too young for them?
I think for sure my oldest will. We've kind of teased him already. We're like, those base camps, they're pretty nice.
Yeah.
And he had a girlfriend throughout most of his time in high school, and we're just like, if you
Yeah.
get a base camp, you guys could do a little camping.
Yeah.
And they've since broke up, but
Oh.
yeah. I mean, he actually, when we bought the Globetrotter and we told the kids, we're like, if you can still go with us, and we did this whole summer trip in the Globetrotter,
Yeah.
and we told them, you're still welcome to go with us, but we bought this more for mom and dad to really enjoy and travel as you guys are going to college and stuff.
Yep.
And if you want to sleep, Parker, you get to sleep on the fold out couch in the front, and Mason, my youngest, they say, you're going to get to sleep over here. We got to put the table down, and then we put out some extra cushions and stuff. And they were like, okay. And then at one point, my oldest actually said to me, he's like, do you not want me to go with you? And we're like, no, you're always welcome.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, the way you guys talked about it, it was like you guys just didn't want us to go anymore. And he's like, I actually like you people.
Yeah.
Oh,
I want
that's
to go with
sweet.
you.
Yeah.
No,
awesome.
that's really nice that your child says that
Yeah.
to you.
Well, and I think that had your son had that base camp, he probably wouldn't have broken up with his girlfriend. Probably.
Now you're getting really personal there, baby.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty cool trailer.
It's a really cool trailer.
It is. It is.
Yeah. What's the I think this could be the case with any RV owner, I guess, but we've been out to California a good bit and got friends that live in California, and we were actually just in the Bay Area some in this early part of the summer.
I know, we should have known him then.
Yeah, we
could
should
met
have.
him, yeah.
But what's the logistics like for owning an Airstream in your area? Like, do you have it in storage and you have to go get it and things like that, or how do you handle owning one in that part of California?
Yeah, and I had the same question when I moved here from Ohio, because where we lived in Ohio, we were out in the country, and we lived on 8 acres, and I had a barn that I could put my Airstreams in. I mean,
Yeah.
like when I had the motorhome and the 74, they both went in there along with a bunch of other stuff, so they were always covered from snow and stuff. And when we moved out here, I actually went to Air Forums and I looked for people that were living in the same town that we moved to. And thankfully, one of them was nice enough to reply to me. And I said, I'm coming from a place of lots of land and always having my Airstream with me at my house. How do you handle that in a metropolis? And he said, well, there's a storage place. And he said, I can recommend it to you and whatnot. And he's like, but yeah, if you it's very common to have your camper in front of your house when you're loading up or unloading or working on it or something. I mean, there's a guy down the road from me here that has an SOB that I swear the thing hasn't moved in the entire time that we've lived here.
Oh,
So
wow.
I don't know if it's
Oh,
a guest house or what, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's in good repair and it's clear that it's not some homeless person living there, so it's fine. But
Yes.
yeah, it's very different because um, whenever we're going to go for a weekend, just like we did this weekend, usually Wednesday or Thursday, I go get the camper out of the storage lot, bring it to the house, park it in front of the house, disconnect and everything because we don't have enough curb length to leave everything connected. Park the truck back in the driveway. That way we can all get out and go to work and school and whatnot. And then we have everything packed up. And Friday, when everybody is home from work and school and whatnot, I hitch up the truck and we go. And when we're done, come back to the house. We all have a little plastic milk crate that we grab and we run into the Airstream and we just start grabbing everything that we know needs to come out, empty the fridge and freezer, that type of thing, grab the dirty clothes. That all comes in the house and then usually take it back to the storage lot. And that's usually on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And which means we usually go out for lunch somewhere and we go grocery shopping, which is exactly what we did today.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I asked you that question and heard your answer, because to know that you've owned, now that up 4 Airstreams, your kids have grown up in them, you're obviously loyal to the brand for sure, and in order to enjoy your Airstream, those are the logistics you have to go through in order to enjoy them, which I guess you've done it long enough to now to know that going through those efforts worth it, because a lot of times people would own they'll own an RV and it just sits in storage or it sits in their backyard and they never go use it. And, your entire family has this system down and they know what they have to do in order to get it ready to go and hit the road and then unload it and take it back to storage. But going through that effort is worth it because of the experiences you've had.
Yeah. And I've even had somebody in the storage lot one time that was doing theirs there. And he says, don't you put covers on your tires, while it's sitting here? And I said, dude, it doesn't sit here long enough to make it worthwhile.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no sun damage to my tires because I'm going to be back here in a month or less to pick it up and go somewhere else again.
That's good.
So real quick, I just want to interject in here for our listener that SOB stands for some other brand.
Oh, it does?
It does. It does. He mentioned SOB a minute ago, and I wanted to make sure that we weren't offending anyone, that it does mean some other brand.
Yeah.
I mean, we can offend people. I can probably offend people, but I just wanted to clarify that.
The people that are listening to this podcast probably are not anybody that owns an SOB.
No, they very well could
That's
be.
true.
They could be, because people like to
Oh, they're
come
intrigued.
on. They like to come on, listen to me talk. Yeah.
Yeah. You're
And
right.
yes,
I like the way you
and
talk.
I like the way you talk. Anyway, I just wanted to make sure. And there may be some Airstreamers out there who are new Airstreamers who don't understand what SOB
Yeah,
means. So I just wanted to clarify
Yep.
what it meant, what it stood for. Yes,
that's good.
that's all.
Yep.
That's probably a smart public service announcement.
Yes,
You did good.
it could
You know,
refer to
and
you too, but I won't go there.
Yeah.
Just
brand
saying.
loyalty though is another good segue for
Y-
the great story.
yes.
Yes.
Um, so when my family was moving from Ohio to California, thankfully my employer, they could have paid to have my Airstream hauled out there in my tow vehicle and all that sort of stuff. I said, look, I'll make you a deal. My family will move in our Airstream to our new home in California. You don't have to move all, you still have to move my house belongings, but you don't have to worry about the Airstream and my tow vehicle and stuff, and then flying four of us out there. So, but I said, just give me some time off. So it was winter time, so it was basically Thanksgiving to Christmas. They just said, fine, get your family moved. So we did. We did a big trip, and we were down in Texas, and I forget the name of the town. It was somewhere between San Antonio and Austin, San Marcos, I think it was. And we're going along just fine with the Airstream and tow vehicle. And we had kind of had some electrical gremlins with the tow vehicle, but it wasn't that old, only had 5,000 miles on it. So we thought, no problem. Well, the gremlins kept getting worse on this trip, and it got to the point that we were there in Texas, and it was kind of dusk. And all of a sudden, we're flying down the highway. The truck just shuts off.
Oh
And I mean
boy.
everything. The engine is off. There is no power steering. There's no lights on the dashboard. There is no nothing. And I'm like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
And thankfully, the way Texas interstates are built, most of them they all have these little spurs to get off, and there's
Yeah.
always a service road running along the side.
Yep.
And thankfully, I got off there and was standing on the brakes and just looking for a place that I could shoot off that, I didn't need to stop because I had to coast into whatever I was doing.
Because
And I found this
if you lost all electrical, then your trailer brakes weren't working.
exactly. I
Oh
had no
wow.
power steering. I had no power brakes. I had no trailer brakes.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
nobody was seeing any brake lights either.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to hopefully not hit traffic, because I can't tell people, hey, I'm in an emergency situation here. So I managed to find this big parking lot on some business that was on that service road. And I'm just like, okay, I'm doing it. And I got it in there and got it stopped and kind of off to the side. And we're sitting there, trying to figure out what we're going to do. We're calling Good Sam Roadside Assistance, which by the way is phenomenal. I love them. And we're waiting for them to come and take us, to a hotel. The air of this story is it's about a little bit short of Thanksgiving, I think, and people are coming and going. It was a barbecue joint. This guy rolls in and he's kind of like staring at us out in the parking lot, and I'm like, all right, what's going to go on here? He goes into the barbecue joint. He comes back out, throws something in the truck, and he comes over and he says, what's going on? So I explained what had happened, and he goes, wow. He said, I have an Airstream too. And I'm like, great.
Yeah.
It doesn't help me much right now.
Yeah.
And he says, well, he said, I live nearby. And he's like, I've got my truck here. And he said, how about I hitch up to your trailer once they come and pick up the truck and take it to the local Ford dealer. And he says, I'll hitch up to your Airstream. I will haul it to my house. You camp in my driveway. I have a spare car. I'll let you borrow it tomorrow to take care of things. And I was dumbfounded.
Wow.
I'm just like, are you serious? And I think I even had a little side discussion with my wife because I'm like, we got the kids with us.
Yeah.
We're in
Yeah.
Texas.
We
We're
had
in the middle of
Texas
nowhere. It's
Chainsaw
night, dark.
Massacre.
I'm like, do we trust this guy to hitch up to our trailer? We jump in his truck and he just drives us to wherever.
Yeah.
And she's just like, well, kind of seems legit. Let's give it a whirl. So sure enough, that's what we did. The tow truck came and flatbedded my truck away and took us
That's
to his
great.
house, set us up, plugged us in. We went inside and had beers with him, and he ended up knowing the service manager at the local Ford dealership. So he's texting this guy saying, hey, dude, when you get there in the morning, there's going to be this truck there. This guy's at my house, please hook him up.
Yeah. He's
And
probably
sure
like,
enough,
hurry up and do it so they'll get out of here.
Yeah.
No.
That's great. Yeah.
and in the end, yeah, it was awesome. I mean, he let us borrow a vehicle, so we all went into the Ford dealership, and they ended up getting it fixed. And emergency thing, they had it done by lunchtime. It was amazing.
That's
Wow.
wonderful.
And
That is a great story.
It is a great story.
Not
yeah,
not
all
just
because
about
we had an Airstream.
Yeah.
Yes, it is because you had an Airstream
Yep.
and plus the goodness of someone's heart. I mean, that's a wonderful story, Jason.
Yeah, it really is. And, do you know whether he was part of the Airstream club or not?
I think he was, but he wasn't real active.
Yeah.
As I recall, he traveled a lot for work, and
Yeah.
it usually didn't involve the Airstream.
Why do you ask that question?
Well, I'm getting to it.
Oh, well, get on.
Yeah, and I'm ashamed to say that I don't know the creed by heart but there are kind of like these guidelines or these things that if you're part of the club, you're supposed to kind of abide by, or at least be a positive influence by, because you're part of the Airstream club. And I just didn't know if maybe, I mean, now granted, we've not met anybody that owns an Airstream that's unsupportive or a jerk or anything like that. So it could just be that he's a good old Texas boy that wants to help people. But, the Airstream ownership obviously was a bond that you both had. And had he been a member of the club and abided by the what all of that was founded on, which a lot of it had to do with, being a supportive Airstreamer and safe, traveler and things like that. He's just paying it forward, which is awesome, and that, I think that's an excellent story. That experience you had was positive because of Airstream. And
That's right.
That's really cool. So we've been talking for an hour. See, when I talked to you the other day, Jason, I said time just flies by, right?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. And we thank you so very much for giving us some time. And I'm sure we just scratched the surface about your Airstream life and your family's Airstream life. But thanks for the time and the insights. And just one final thing, I guess, and throw you for a curve maybe on this, but like, what do you foresee your your later years in life being with Airstream? You're going to always try to be an Airstreamer, like even when you're 90 years old, or do you think you're going to be like, oh, I got to get a motorhome with slides and power stuff, and like, or are you so like Airstream committed that you're gonna have
You're
one
putting
forever?
him on the spot's what you're doing.
Well, I mean, he's been in it long enough now, and is but he's still working, so it's like, what's it going to be like when he gets
Well, how do you know he's
older?
not 92 or something already?
Well, I know he's not 92.
Oh, okay.
I've looked at his LinkedIn profile.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
gotcha.
know he's not 92.
There we go. There we go.
You're sneaky.
He's dug up the dirt.
Yeah,
Uh-oh.
that's right.
I like dirt.
But
I like the juicy details.
Do you feel like you're gonna like always be an Airstreamer?
I mean, I think so, as long as we keep with camping, which hopefully is something that we can continue to do into our later days.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. I was just talking at the rally this weekend around the campfire, that, there was a time in my life that I thought motorcycles were it. And I thought that, if I didn't have a motorcycle in my life, and I even taught those, the Motorcycle Safety Foundation courses. I taught that stuff.
Wow.
I was that hardcore about being a motorcyclist. And I had 2-3 motorcycles and loved working on them and traveling hardcore on them and stuff. And I thought there was no other way of life than motorcycling. But life changed, kids came along and, just weren't going to be able to travel with kids on the motorcycle. So we pivoted. And I don't foresee now my camping and Airstreaming involvement changing, especially with how deep I am into the Airstream club itself.
Yeah.
Which we didn't even get into that, but that would be a whole nother show maybe.
Sure.
But I don't foresee a change. No, I mean, we really love camping. If we are sitting here at home if we haven't gone camping usually in about 2 weekends, usually it's my wife that says it, but sometimes it's me. But somebody will say, I'm getting antsy to get in the Airstream.
Yeah.
Where can we go as soon as possible? And then we'll find some place to go for the weekend or something just to get out in the Airstream, because we really love being in the Airstream, especially with this new Globetrotter, and just,
Yeah.
love
Well,
being out there.
Yeah. And you're in a location where, I mean, you could go any direction.
Camp year round.
Yeah, camp year round, and you could go epic locations in any direction from where you live, which is awesome. Yeah, so that's great. Well, thank you again so much for the time and the conversation. It was great. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, I may not have to do any editing to this, which is amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Look how excited he is.
Well, I know.
He's more excited than you.
I'm just glad my internet connection and my devices didn't degrade or cut off or
did
anything.
good.
You're gonna have to chop that out.
Yes.
That's just amazing technology.
I would like to say, though, please tell your wife, and maybe she'll listen to this, that we're sorry that she was unable to be on here with us, but we did talk about her.
Yeah, in a good way.
In a good way. But we
and the kids
did bring her and the kids into the conversation.
for sure. Yep. Thanks so much,
Maybe
Jason.
she'll join next time.
Yeah. Oh, next time.
Yeah.
I like that for part 2.
There you go.
Hopefully,
I like it.
Maybe next time we can do it like in person. We'll be able to find a way to meet on the road somewhere and do
there
it in
you
person.
go.
Yes.
Yeah. So that'd be good.
We like California, so we can always go out there and adventure.
All right, Jason.
Yes.
Thanks so much. We'll see you down the road. Okay.
We appreciate you, Jason.
Absolutely. Thanks,
Thank
Gina.
you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
You bet.
Have a great day. They're pretty awesome, aren't they?
That was a great conversation.
Yes, I loved it.
It's the exact kind of conversation that we were hoping would come with this kind of podcast format.
And so we just threw out there, say, hey, come join us. Let us hear your story. And a lot of people out there don't think they have a story, but they do. Everyone has a story.
Everyone has a story.
And Jason came on tonight and shared his, and I'm so thankful for that, aren't you?
For sure. So if you're listener, and you want to be a guest on our podcast, then just send us a quick email to info@therivetedfox.com or go to therivetedfox.com to our Get in touch page and fill out the little contact form there, and we will reach out to you and come join in on the conversation. It's a lot of fun, and we'd love to have you. So with that, we will call it an episode and look forward to having you listen in on the next one.
Yes, we'll see you down the road, everyone.